Attention, all curious minds, innovators, and trendsetters. It's time to pause, lean in, and get ready for an extraordinary journey as we dive deep into the fascinating realms of life, technology, entertainment, and business. Let's explore, learn, and grow together. Brace yourselves, for the next thrilling episodes of Hipther Talks is about to take off. Counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go.
Hi everyone, Zoltan here. We're back again this week at Hipther Talks, and this time we have a special guest. Like I told you, this year and at the fourth year, we're inviting some of our friends who I don't know why we skipped over the years, but it's good to have them, and I'm very grateful to have Rasmus Sojmark, who you all know as Ras here. As a guest on our podcast. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I know you're a busy man. So Ras,
thanks for having me, Sultan. It's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, I know you since 2009, 2010. I think we met at some of the conferences because back then we were just both laying the foundation, we're affiliates, and it's nice to see you.
Back in the day.
Yeah, it's nice to see how we become, my friend. It has been a long time, and while we also do conferences and share the same DNA of media and conferences, Rasmus has built something extraordinary. While we host these boutique-style gatherings up to 350 people, SBC now runs events that attract over 40,000 attendees. If I'm not correct, maybe it's 50,000. Ras, you will correct me later. But
you have many good questions, by the way. I think so. We'll come back to some of this, and I can give my opinion, and happy to share information, and where we end up. But exciting. You tell me. We'll talk about what you want, my friend.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that your journey from organizing social events in London and to hosting now global conferences, and later we will get to that stadium charity match with football legends, is truly inspirational, my friend. So it's not just about scale, my friend. It's about impact, purpose, and vision. And not all of the events organizers out there have it.
And how do you combine all of that into one product, which is an event? Can you do that? That's difficult, but as we'll talk about, obviously that's what we've been trying to do for Lisbon this year, create something truly magnificent and unique that touches on all areas and combines all the important experiences. But anyway, let's save this for later, of course.
All right. So we do have a tradition here on Hipther Talks that we like to give the opportunity for our guests to say a few words about themselves in their own words. So Ras, tell our audience who they're dealing with today.
Well, I'm a very humble person, so I don't, necessarily like to talk too much about myself. But, I guess if I was to talk about a few things that I think defined me and where I am today, in my 40s now, and I've been in the industry for 20 plus years. I think before I got into the industry as a person, I was, guy loving football and watching football on TV, other sports, and having fun, going out, partying on the weekends. After high school, I went to the military. In Denmark, you had to draw a number back then, and if it was a low number, you kind of had to go. So I went to the military back in '98, and I was supposed to be there for less than a year, but I ended up staying there for about 2 years because when they had to choose certain people to go into sergeant school, I wouldn't say unfortunately, because I very much appreciated this day, I was the one they wanted to go into sergeant school and help train future soldiers or privates for the Danish army. And I thought I was going to go to university. Obviously not, because they said if I wasn't going to military, I would be out sailing for almost a couple of years. So they didn't leave me much of a choice. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And I did enjoy sergeant school a lot because it taught me at an age of 18 to work with psychology, training and decision-making under a lot of stress. We're talking live machine guns, hand grenades, guns, and whatever else. It's a bit crazy what you deal with. And obviously, we did mine transportations where you were traveling around in trucks with very important cargo. That if someone stopped you, you had to go out and almost take your machine gun and say, like, you cannot steal my cargo, right? It was great, and I did exceptionally well. I didn't know I was going to do well, but this was all leadership skills. So back to where you are today, maybe as a CEO later on, those things that did help define me and who I am today. I learned to make a lot of decisions in ways that I didn't know I was capable of. And there was a lot of educational stuff, as I said, around psychology, cultures, and making groups work together, all of that, right? Really, really exciting stuff. And as I said, I did well. I actually graduated, I don't think I ever said that, as the best sergeant in the last 10 years. So I must have done some things right, but the combination of these skills actually just sat really well with me. So I then obviously continued my career in there for a few years. Then I finished with the military. I went to Austria. I worked in Austria for half a year, where I worked in a bar with après-ski and lederhosen and whatnot, playing après-ski music in the evening, serving beers and all that good fun that goes with a good après-ski evening. And in the daytime, I was skiing every day. So I loved that. And after that, I went to university. And at university, I studied international marketing. And I did work on the side in a telemarketing agency. So again, I took a job that meant that I was going to sell the leading newspapers and sports newspapers in Denmark over the phone back in 2000. And suddenly I was like, okay, is that for me? And you're sitting in a room with 60 people very closely, sort of like you can hear one another's conversations. You had to dial up people, ask them for their attention, listen to you, and convince them that they should extend their subscription or they should buy this newspaper for a whole year. And you obviously got your commission. For some reason, Sultan, that just resonated really well with me. My sort of apparent casual way and very trustworthy way, for some reason, of connecting with these people I was speaking to, made them buy a lot of newspapers of me. And I just did well. And suddenly I was like, wow, I love that. So I was there for 4.5 years just selling. And here's the thing, that was kind of like what you and I are doing. It was on the phone, talking to people that weren't next to you. Obviously, there was no video on back then. It was just a phone call. And you had to kind of make a sell like that. So it just sort of taught me how sales really worked. And then at the same time at university, learning about marketing, experiences. That was all about experience economy. How do you create experiences that aren't necessarily tangible, that people will consume for the sheer level of feeling appreciated, happy, and all this? Like that leads into the event side. So there was a lot of elements there with sales, with leadership, training, understanding how people consume experiences and want to buy stuff because they're happy, they feel appreciated. That has kind of created the foundation of what SBC is today and what I am doing to try and grow the company over X amount of years. So yeah, this is kind of my background, I think. I'm sure there's many other things. Obviously, I was part of setting up EviMatrix. I worked for BetBrain in Copenhagen with Ebbe. Ebbe and I agreed I would move to London in 2007. I moved over to London to be closer to all the operators back then, like Coral, Ladbrokes, Betfred, Bet365. And then I met Stian Hornsletten, and Stian Hornsletten and Stian just sold Bet on Bet back in around 2007, and he wanted to build a sportsbook for casinos. So I had this idea that maybe we should speak to Ebbe. So Stian, Ebbe, and I sort of met and we talked. And there you go. Suddenly we were working on Oddsmatrix, which was this sports book using the technology and feed structure from BetBrain, which was the odds comparison website that gathered all this data together, right? And I was there with them building up EviMatrix until 2012 when I left. And at the same time, I've obviously been working on SBC that from that point in time started growing. And here we are today. So that was a long intro. That probably answers some of the things, but it's a good story, I think, just as a bit of background.
Yeah, it is. It is. And yeah, we are grateful for you for sharing all this. And yeah, Of course, I think that all these, being a sergeant and everything that you mentioned, it really shaped up how SBC looks like today. You're probably like heading in the office, giving out instructions. Like it's like the same thing with conference organizing. You're transporting grenades and stuff like that. Okay, just like not the real
Important
thing, but
cargo.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly.
anytime anything can go wrong. That's the idea. So could you take us back to 2009? And I'm interested about what motivated you to launch SBC, because you were doing so good on the other side of things. What were the problems you were trying to solve in the industry back then?
I think back in 2009, a lot of focus was moving towards casino, poker, and bingo. Like poker
Yeah.
at that time was booming.
Yeah.
Operators raked good money from putting up the software, the game itself, and every game played, every hand played, they raked a certain amount of money. It was guaranteed income. Casino obviously had, easier margins than sports betting, and bingo was also growing. Sports betting, on the other hand, was seeing a little bit of a not the best sort of mood among people that saw a lot of investment having to be made into the trading to generate the margins, because the margins were very low. And also you had sometimes money being going to the credit cards when they're processing for deposits and all that. So suddenly you had to do high volumes on sports betting, a lot of trading to make small gains and wins. Oftentimes you wouldn't even be making money on sports betting, but the money you made was from channeling these players into playing casino, poker, and bingo.
Yeah.
So sports betting, you can almost say, was becoming a necessary evil. And with that in mind, I was like, hey, all of us are passionate about it. I got started in this industry because of sports betting. What's going on here? So I wanted to try and gather the sports betting industry, key people and stakeholders, and get them together and start having a place where they could network, talk, have fun, enjoy, and speak about the future of the industry. So that was how SBC originated, starting off like meeting every 3 months, every quarter in London. And early days back in 2009, like sort of Carsten Curl, who is the founder of Sport Radar, was there. Many key people have been part of this journey for many years. And it was very exciting. And it was probably that pain of listening to people that were struggling getting the attention to that part of the industry that I was trying to just help make sure that there was still a lot of love for the sports betting industry.
Yeah, because back then at conferences, people were running around to poker, like you said, poker, online casinos, and nobody cared about
massive.
sports betting. Yeah.
No. And it was expensive because you got big trading houses, a lot of traders, and you trade on the margins. The players are getting smart. They neutralize the margins. There isn't a lot of money made, so it almost becomes like a marketing tool. Get people in to bet on sports, and then you cross convert into other products, right?
Yeah. So I remember 2014. Some new kids arrived on the events section. It was you, and it was also Emma, I believe, also in 2014. But your event stood out because it was hosted on Stamford Bridge. It gathered mostly people from the sports betting world. I think it was called Betting on Football, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. So what did this milestone mean to you personally?
Story for SBC is that obviously I worked on it for years, and I hired in my business partner today, Andy McCarran. And when he joined, he was supposed initially to work on creating SBC News as a very strong media platform and news outlet for the gaming industry. Andy said, listen, let's look at what we can do to take the industry community here and put it into an actual event that isn't just about networking, but also about education, content, business. So we talked about it, and that brought forward Betting on Football as the first event, a one-day event at Stamford Bridge, which also in the evening had the first SBC Awards. Yeah. Actually, the SBC Awards originate to back then, and that was in a German Oktoberfest pub in Fulham, right? It was like with an umpa band, currywurst and fries and Weiss beers and people enjoying themselves, and there was like 7-8 awards or something. So that was that one-day event, and that was amazing. People loved it, and it was the first time ever people really talked about sports betting, dedicated to the industry, how it it was doing, where it was heading, and different suppliers as well, what products are needed, what do we need to do to help elevate it, how do we get more emphasis back, and just sort of really, really strong way of just enjoying business in the right context.
All right. So I think that conference was around 600, 800 people.
Oh, that's actually a lot less to start with. It was about a couple of hundred people, but then the year after, we launched the second version. We had betting on football, we had betting on sports. And betting on sports was about that number, as you say. It also started at Stamford Bridge, but then it moved to Olympia in the following years. And from Olympia is where it moved to Barcelona. It became SBC Summit Barcelona. And today, that's what you have as SBC Summit in Lisbon.
All right.
So those are the two events evolving, and it was just more trying to put emphasis on more sports, and gradually we put casino in, and that's where, Sultan, you had one of the problems that it's kind of hard to sell into the casino suppliers and other suppliers when the name is betting on sports. So hence we rebranded to SBC Summit to indicate to everyone that this event is actually for the entire industry. I know we're going to talk a bit more about that, but there's just maybe the kickoff for that discussion.
Yeah, so of course many are seeing the success of SBC now at the conferences, but there's definitely been some struggle there. I can tell you that from my point of view as an events organizer, I know how it is. But how do you get from hosting to couple of 100 people, to maybe 50,000 people? So what were some of the hardest moments during this SBC growth that you've seen? And maybe did you ever want to give up?
I'm relentless. I never give up. I'm a perfectionist. For the good and the bad, I think that me being a perfectionist have given me a drive that, as I said, I never give up. Like once I start something, I want to succeed at it. I'm very ambitious, but also in a way where my perfectionism and other parts of me ground me in the way that I don't ever come across as arrogant. It's not the way I do business. My sales have taught me it's better to be aligning yourself with the situation, the context, the client, and do it on their terms. Those bits have kind of made me want to succeed, but also in a way where you keep driving it forward with integrity and understanding that it isn't just about you. You also need other people as part of the journey to make it a success. So I think, before COVID, which obviously made it very difficult for all us event organizers, the main problem was really, do you make enough money to continue on this path? Yeah. So the main problem growing from almost no employees to about 50 employees is the journey of not getting there too fast to make sure the people you hire are the right people, but also when you get to around 50 people, you need to start instilling HR. You need to have a culture in place that is driven by proper looking after your staff, benefits, salaries, bonuses, and all the things that you can't manage as a person anymore, because now it becomes a question about treating your company and the staff in the right way. So when we got to 50, we put in employees, we put in the HR team. And I think around that, there's a lot of you want to keep growing. As I told you, I'm relentless, I'm ambitious, I have a drive, right? But also need to come to terms with the fact that you got to look after your team. And you got to look after your clients and people, the delegates, right? So you have the elements of your company, the staff, people working there, as well as the ones buying your product, the product being a media news website or an event, it's products, that they need to want the product and consume the product to retain them, right? To want to keep investing into your events. So if you don't align those things, it's impossible. And in before COVID, growing up almost as a company from a startup to a business is a lot of misalignment, right? Yeah. One is that the staff didn't necessarily want to do the same as you. They got pretty good aligned, I think, on that. And I think the product itself, one of the struggles I told you just before was betting on sports did not get the same love and attention from a lot of the casino side of the industry that said, we won't sponsor this event because it's too much sports. And we are sitting there investing a lot back into the product because we wanted our clients to be happy. Complimentary food, drinks, best speakers, high level quality focus, which is more expensive than an event focused on quantity. So if we are on a journey to build events around quality, we need the industry to go on that journey with us, right? And we were struggling at that point to get the casino industry to accept that we weren't just sports betting. And this is before COVID. At the same time, also your staff is growing. So when you make more money, you also pay more money to staff and bonuses and all that. So we weren't really making money per se, because the money we made were invested back into the product. So just before COVID, and this is where you talk about give up, I wouldn't say giving up, because the company wasn't losing money, but it wasn't making
pause
it.
And think things.
Yeah. So how do you balance those things? And suddenly we start cracking that and start seeing now we got the casino side with us and the rest of the industry, and we can scale it. And COVID hits, boom, right? I'm like, wow, what is this?
Sports is out.
Shoot, we can't organize physical events. So I don't want to talk too much about COVID. It seems to be something everyone goes back to as a thing that defined X, Y, and Z, or C. But I will say COVID. The things here with our company, the people, and the product, I think based on what we did before, actually helped us align pretty quickly and go into the digital side and retain good money, because people started trusting us that even though the digital product wasn't as scalable as the physical, we managed to retain and get good support, right? We also managed, because of that, to keep all our staff in employment, which about that time was about 75, right? So what happened around the UK and many other places around the world? Furlough, laying people off. We didn't lay any people off. We kept everyone in employment. All money we made, again, got reinvested back in to the product, the people, and we weren't making money still, right? So COVID, 2 years, let's say, over, we were ready to go. We had the people there, we had the experience, we had the trust from delivering strong digital events and continuing to grow our media side, that we came out running faster than anyone. Boom. And that's where our sort of physical events really started to grow with Barcelona to Lisbon, Rio, Americas, and all the rest of them. And we just had so much support from everyone in the industry, whether operators, affiliates, suppliers, regulators, associations, you name it. And here we are today with a very strong business that just keeps scaling and growing. Anyway, we'll come back to that, but I think I don't give up. I'm not that, I want to win. But in a good way.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah, I kind of feel this myself, as we started out as Eastern European Gaming, organizing conferences Eastern Europe. Then we started like navigating throughout other jurisdictions. Everybody was saying, but you are Eastern European Gaming. Then we rebranded to European Gaming to cover more areas and started the tech conferences. But during the tech conferences, we were facing backlash because, you guys are in the gaming industry. What are you doing with AI? So COVID gave us a good chance to rebrand to Hipther. And that's how everything was merged together. And now people don't care anymore about what happened in the past. So, it was in sort of a good way, a good period for having new crowd joining the conference.
And reflection, right? So I mean, you need to stop and think sometimes, because you aren't just going to make it all happen. Some companies do, and they grow fast, and things change in the future, and there's however way it works. You can't predict the future, of course, but reflection was probably on the top of what COVID gave us, like time to reflect on where we're at, and always have a plan B maybe, or think about alternatives, and whether your business is your business about you, the company as a whole, the people that's part of it, the client, who is it for? I mean, would you ever be happy just to have a business for the sake of having a business, or is it all about the money, right? There was a lot more reflection around that, and going back to the core of understanding that it's also about life and enjoying things while you can, and not just be too consumed about things that might make sense now and make you feel good, but it's not going to make you good in the coming years, right? So many reflection points.
Yes. So SBC has grown now to rival the top conference organizers. I mean, I will not name them, of course, but I did
Oh,
not
you
like
can
the.
listen. I know it's
No,
no secret, man. Like you name any, I'm
I was
happy. I'm
no,
trying
no,
to be honest here
no.
as much as I can.
I was very pissed off with the fact with when you guys had started doing the Barcelona conference and Clarion came in and set ice there. It wasn't a good move for them in terms of like,
No.
let's be honest. I did not like it, but it doesn't matter. It happened. You guys have made it out to success because Lisbon is a better place now. And what do you think has been the key standing out in such a competitive space? Because these guys have deep pockets. They basically own the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you guys are like growing, and as you mentioned, as you grow and you have more employees, you need to like cover the costs of the operation, not just like invest in new conferences and invest in marketing. So how did you guys manage to do that?
I mean, if we look at the key competitors today, we're obviously looking at Clarion and Sigma. We all friends. I mean, maybe I would say I'm not the best friends with everyone at Clarion these days because I think they didn't very well treat the Barcelona case. But
Yeah.
let's not go into detail. I'm not gonna start talking about that. But there's still issues there between us and them, definitely. But I think I would go as far as to say that I think SBC could easily be the top organizer. But what does that
Yes.
mean? I mean, in terms of the biggest event, in terms of volume and numbers, obviously it's ICE, 50,000 or something, right? Lisbon clearly isn't as big. It's putting 30,000 out there. But let's go back to what is the content or the makeup of an event. ICE is great. It's a massive exhibition, lots of business done. People go there. It's a legacy event that's been around for decades. SBC Summit in Lisbon is fairly new, but SBC Summit in Lisbon offers a lot more, in my view, because it does offer a big exhibition or a combined space that is bigger than ICE with 132,000 square meters, but that includes obviously conference rooms and moving between. So exhibition space-wise, Clarion is bigger, yes. But within that event setup, we obviously have a number of key things happening. We have by far the best conference program with 8 stages. We're bringing Gary Vaynerchuk, Randy Zuckerberg, the sister of Mark Zuckerberg. We got many more names to come. I can't say them just yet. We have a lot of the key football legends coming as well to the summit. We have a great setup within the exhibition where we build a food festival. So you and I can go and have a nice drink and we can have whatever food we want. Street food served from street food stalls and trucks in many different areas, from healthy food to Vietnamese, Japanese, Thai, to local Portuguese food, anything you want. And if you're on a full access pass, which all our sponsors and media partners and exhibitors, operators, affiliates, they go and get free food every single day. They're not paying for it. We're paying for that. The experiences in the evening. You got an opening party on the Tuesday with Joel Corey and Iman Beck, 2 of the biggest DJ names. Free drinks there as well. The last evening, you obviously got the Infinity Lisbon, which has Alok and Timmy Trumpet. That's music. So why do you put that in? Because I want to keep Sultan happy. After 3-4 days in Lisbon and being knackered from business and walking around, I want to give him an entertaining evening to close the thing off. And what better way of doing an energized way of listening to music and having drinks and networking and talking all combined as being almost at a festival. People love that. So that's what Sultan is getting at the end of it. In between that, as I said, exhibition, conference, networking, so many things happening, keynote speakers. We got the Leader Summit on the Monday. And also, of course, that we'll come back to is the Legends Charity Game. It's a big sports entertainment event happening Monday evening at 8 o'clock with some of the best players ever to play the game of football, like the Portugal Legends team facing the World Legends team. Kaká, Roberto Carlos, Figo, Deco, Peter Schmeichel, Hachi, we can come back to that, but massive names. So we put that element in. I mean, ICE doesn't offer you any of that stuff. ICE ask all their clients to organize their own things and invite the client. We create this for everyone. It's a huge difference. So quality, SBC is up here, massively up here, right? And if you then put in the other events, Rio and Americas we have, in total, SBC is starting to be very aligned with Clarion in terms of what we do. So I think investing back into the events, we're investing far more into the events than Clarion is. We invest loads more back into the industry. Like, I don't take money out per se and start investing into other things. I invest back into Legends charity game. I try and put the emphasis back on the industry. I think that's important. I think I'm the only one doing that. If I'm honest, and not trying to glorify anything, but I think that's important. SBC has had this since day one. We invest in our products, and we invest into make the products better for the sake of being proud to deliver the products as a company, as my team members, as my staff. They're proud of working here. And obviously for our clients, our partners, and everyone, including yourself, that you want to be part of this. We know we have to keep delivering something great, and we want to keep delivering something great. And now we managed to make a good business of it. Sigma, to mention them, they're great. They build strong events around the world, of course. So yeah, I think the three of us are the ones driving the industry, and we do have too many events. I understand that. I get that. But competition might have you keep trying to do stuff, right? Because you still have to find a way to grow. So we'll come back to some of that as well, right? But there's sometimes it's not really just your decision what you do, right?
Exactly.
Market forces, market wants and needs, and interest also drives, our decisions as well.
And
I hope that helps explaining a little bit. Yeah,
of course. I keep telling people that don't complain about too many conferences, because that's a good thing, because these conferences are here to stay every year. So if you want to check out one or miss out on one this year and go to the other one next year, that's also a good thing. It keeps the industry growing. And yeah, by the way, guys, we are not doing this because it's part of our media partnership with SBC. I actually reached out to Rasmus to do this podcast. So just as a disclaimer, we are friends, not like doing this on a media partnership thing. So yeah, you mentioned that you, of course, you emphasized more over quality over quantity, and yeah, like you said, ICE might be bigger in terms of space, but yeah, in terms of the let's say adventure people get at these type of events, probably yours is better because you do have that conferences, like the concert at the end, which is amazing. Great idea. I was speaking to one of the DJs, and they were mentioning that, wow, this is such a good idea to have this like big festival to end it. And let's be honest, not all of the conference people are C-level executives. Many of them are like staff from the company that like to party. So basically, this is like
100%. But also, if you look at an event like this one, the size means that many exhibitors are coming 2 weeks before to start setting up and plan.
Yeah.
So they're still there doing the event. They've been there for like over 2 weeks. So those are the guys that make our business happen by investing money into booth spaces and sponsorship. I need to do something for them. I'm not just there to facilitate business for the people that comes in to take over the booth at the opening days, but the people that create the show before and after. They also have to dismantle the whole thing.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that we really want to let it go on that Thursday evening with an amazing party for them to celebrate with the best celebrity musicians, almost, I would say, in the DJ space, huge names, to entertain them and offer them complimentary drinks and let them have fun. Appreciate the work they've done. It's really much part of that, I would say, to be honest.
So with that emphasis on quality over quantity, how do you ensure that you still maintain a growing scale?
That's been part of the journey of not giving up in terms of making things happen that isn't usually happening. Once you grow, people often second or they compromise the quality. We hired more people. We're about 150 people now, believe it or not. And we need that because we got different teams, especially like customer success. We have the events teams that really work hard to make sure that clients are looked after. Obviously, we need teams like relationship team and marketing to make sure that delegates are aware, they get looked after in terms of information they need to make decisions. Sales needs to look after the clients, make sure they buy the right things, the right products as part of optimizing their event experience and the ROI. Many things, right? And I think you got to find a way to scale those internal ways of working on the event, the framework, to be able to deliver quality. And we've been constantly working on growing that framework. And there's no solution for it. Looking at other industries, I don't think you'll find the solutions there. It's the same things. You also don't know when people are buying tickets for your event. So as much as you think you're going to have 40, 50,000 people, you often don't know weeks before the event when people really start buying tickets because no one has an urgency to buy a ticket. It's more about the hotel, the flights, and put it into the schedule. How do you make sure that happens? So one is you grow the event, you make sure that all the elements that defines quality is scaling, which is more money invested back in, 100%, which means you got to sell more, make more money. So that balance, I think we cracked pretty well. But on the other hand, you also got to deliver the audience. Without the audience, people don't necessarily get the return on investment with the right people. So you grow the audience, but you also grow the quality. And what is the quality of an audience is the buyers, right? The ones willing to go and talk to suppliers about finding the products they think they need or they could be inspired by, and they would take back in and integrate, buy it off the suppliers that are sponsoring or exhibiting an event. That is also key. So you got to scale the event, the experiences. You got to scale the audience and the right audience, right? Because as much as you want to get 50,000 people there, it doesn't matter because no exhibitor, no one there can meet more than 500 to 1,000 people anyway. So just make sure your audience is right. They're quality led. They want to be there because a quality audience that want to be there because that scale of the quality is right, they are far more appreciative and will be happy to engage with the event, want to stay there for 3-4 days, then instead of you and me thinking, oh my God, Sultan, let's leave this venue and go to a nice restaurant. Let's go somewhere else to sit down in quietness. No, we offer you all of that within the setting of this event, which is also why, maybe I can mention it now, we call it the greatest show in gaming. It's the culmination of scaling experiences to a level of offering any person that comes to this event something of value, right? Something that resonates, and then building out that value so more things within that becomes valuable to that person. Essentially, an event is a product, and a product is made up by a lot of elements and factors, and even external things will have an impact. How do you balance that? How do you bring this together? Is what we're doing with SBC Summit in Lisbon. And that is why we are going as far to say this is the greatest show in gaming, because all these elements are just working so well together, right? Whether it's an audience, the number of people, the quality of people, whether it's you experience an amazing DJ or amazing DJs, whether you get to meet your hero in marketing, Gary Vaynerchuk, or why not the sister of one of the most successful people in the world, Mark Zuckerberg's sister, Randy Zuckerberg, right?
Well, you had Tony Hawk last year.
Tony Hawk, yeah, and whether you want to come and see Kaká, Roberto Carlos, or Figo, or, I mean, we got it all. But very, very much focus on the business level. The ROI, the business, for all our sponsored exhibitors and bringing people there is at the forefront. It is business driven, but for business to be happening on a high level, it's because people are enjoying being there. And that is where all the other elements fulfills that and combines it, because without those, you aren't willing to do business. You're not motivated to talk business. So you can't just instill and say, that is business happening as the biggest business event. If all the factors as the foundations aren't in place, people are just unhappy. They're not motivated. We want to create happy people there. We want to have people that want to be there. That's the greatest show in gaming. No other show offers that.
All right. So you have a strong presence in betting, and later on you added casino and other gaming branches, of course, and media as well. So how do you decide which opportunities you pursue next? I mean, you guys are also like covering Europe, Latin America, North America. Are you maybe interested in Asia, Africa?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think talking about what we spoke about earlier with too many events. So I think you're looking at new market opportunities. You're looking at regulated markets, big markets where regulation is happening or hasn't happened yet. And this is where you got to find a hook. So you obviously prefer global events that attracts people from around the world, because that's the likes of ICE and Summit in Lisbon. I know Eman is working on Rome. Those events are good because they appeal to a big audience, more money, more audiences, and all that, right? Which you need to also create a bigger event. Local events into Asia, Asia is big. So I can mention to you definitely that we are looking at an event in India. So we are going to launch an event in Goa in 26.
That's an exclusive now, guys. That's an exclusive.
And the reason we're doing that is we have a partnership with the government. We're working with local entities to make sure that we can take people to India. People that we bring in will have a great setup in terms of being allowed to be there, and not us just creating an event for the sake of wanting to exploit the Indian market without any plans. No, this is a quite political setup in terms of getting the right access and approvals, and we've been working on that for a long time. And India is the first move. There will be more moves like that, absolutely. That's how you're expanding in this industry. You can also grow Lisbon, yes. There's not too much because it's that big. Rio is complicated because of regulations in Brazil, so that's more or less similar-ish. Americas is growing, but we are looking at growth in the coming years in our industry, but not crazy. So the growth is going to come from also new events. That makes sense. That isn't cannibalizing existing business, right? Because there are too many events. So it has to be very specific key events in certain parts of the world, like you mentioned, Asia and Africa, and parts where it makes sense, right? And that's what we're looking at, definitely. But also, who knows? You mentioned Clarion is big. Synergies between different event entities. They are big event organized for all sorts of industries. SBC is very much focused on the gaming industry. And looking outside is an opportunity, of course, it's an option. And using the framework I've been alluding to here that created the greatest show in gaming, how do we take that framework and apply it to other industries? Is that success? How is that going to work? Because you obviously don't have the other part, which we talked about for an event, is the audience. Knowing the audience, get the quality in. You don't just go in like you and me. We build our life, our legacy, our years in this industry. So we're busy. We could spend our life here. We don't just go into fintech or sports, as we're working on a bit now, I would say, but and pretend we know everyone. We don't. It's going to take a lot of work and time on relationships, right? So you got to be smart. Maybe the framework is there for creating successful events, but the audience isn't there, right? So you got to think about those things. Those are the things that you have to take into consideration if you expand.
Yeah, it's a different world. We've been doing this for 2 years, in like merging like fintech, blockchain, AI, not just from the gaming people, like scientists and everything. It's an interesting mixture to see. Of course, we cannot see this happening on a large scale yet. Either way, with our conferences, our small conferences, we do get important people there, but they also like to hear about the gaming industry because it's something that they did not have access to as somebody coming from let's say AI or blockchain. Fintech people might, because payments and gaming do somehow synergize. But it's interesting to see this, and it's interesting to see the gaming people looking outside, because they must. So my next question is a stupid one, I know, but I keep asking this question about the future of in-person events evolving in maybe hybrid or can we say like a post-digital era that might be coming in the next 5 years?
Let's not. I think one day special events, podcast, media is obviously key for digital. I think once you go into the multiple day setups, digital events just doesn't have the attention span among people. They easily get bored. They can't stay focused. They're not present. They need to be there face to face. Like they need to almost have bought the tickets, the flights, the hotels, or taking the transportation to get there to stay focused, right? I think digital events are still good, but it's a smaller consumed amount of it.
All right. So Let's talk about the Legends charity game, because this is what I was very interested about. So, how did this incredible idea came? Like you just like said that, okay, let's gather all the best players in the world.
Yeah, it's not very far from how it happened.
I mean, like I said on LinkedIn, we're just trying to figure out how to do lunch with our delegates, and you're like throwing the biggest game.
Yeah, but it's talking about me in the beginning. I don't know. Many people know me in the industry, of course, but I'm quite relentless. I just start something. I want to do it, right? I think I always had a huge passion for football. I played football all my life. I used to be a gamer to an extent of, obviously, I wouldn't say it, any a casual gamer that was playing. Well, I would say many nights from like could be 6 o'clock to like five in the morning. I did play a lot, and mainly Championship Manager games, also FIFA and other things, right? Also World of Warcraft and other things I was very interested in. But definitely on the managerial side, in terms of games, I found very inspiring. And many of the players I was playing with back then was the players that are part of the Legends charity game. So I grew up with them. I idolized these players in terms of Figo and Haji and Schmeichel and Mendieta and Roberto Carlos and you name it, right? So I think next to doing something next to the industry, we started working a bit with music. And I think if you are to keep people happy, as we talked about, make something interesting, sports and charity are two great elements to try and introduce into the framework of what the greatest show in gaming is. So, we worked a bit with Benfica before in Sporting Lisbon. So we had the contacts. We've been working a lot with the city of Lisbon. So I thought maybe we can strengthen our position there and make it even more clear that we are there for that week to bring lots of people in to segment that position. So I thought it has to be something big. And what's bigger than a charity football match? Not much, to be honest. So we said, okay, if we raise money for charities, it has to be a significant amount that we think is achievable. So it became 1 million euros. Now, how do you raise 1 million euros? As I said, you need the right stadium, the right context, which is either Benfica or Sporting Lisbon, one of the two. The reason we have two stadiums is because of the Champions League schedule. That isn't revealed before the end of August. So one of those two teams is going to play at home. Then the team playing away is the stadium we will use. So we are contracting both clubs here. Now, with that in place, you obviously also need the players. And in Lisbon, in Portugal, and because the World Cup in 2030 in 4 years is in Portugal as well. So one of the teams became the Portugal Legends to resonate with the build-up to the World Cup. It's local in Lisbon, and the Portugal team is on fire. I mean, they just came back and won the UEFA Nation League against Spain. They obviously have some of the best players in the world, right? They're hosting the World Cup, and 4 players in the Paris Saint-Germain team that won the Champions League. It's very strong, right? Could we get some of the best players there? We started talking to FPF, and they were helping us fill the team with pretty much every player that is there. From Figo to Deco to Simao to Nuno Gomez, Charisma. It's an absolutely world-class legend team, right?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
The other team became the World Legends, so it's like the world taking on Portugal. And the World Legends is a combination of top European players and Latin American and Brazilian players. So let's start with the world of samba and football. I mean, Brazil, you got Kaká, Roberto Carlos, Cafu.
Ronaldinho.
No, Ronaldinho is we swapped with Kaká there because those two are the biggest names, right? But Ronaldinho, as you know, with players, there was one player that had some issues with travel, so we dealt with it early on. We swapped with Kaká. Kaká is the latest guy to win Champions League, World Cup, and Ballon d'Or. I mean, he's incredible. Yeah. He's similar to Ronaldinho. So he's in, and then we got Del Piero, we got Schmeichel, Hachi, Karagunis, Hamsik.
A huge list.
Zanetti, Evra, Djukayev, like is massive the amount of names. So those two teams facing off, and the spectacle itself is at 8 o'clock on a Monday evening, and there's going to be fireworks, FX, halftime shows, music, and all that. So it's a really big spectacle. And putting all that together was just starting it, seeing that, okay, let's do it this year. Let's not wait till 26. So started talking to some sponsors. Would they support? Do we think we can raise the money from the charities? I think so. Can we get the players confirmed? It's been a hell of a lot of work, right? It's not an easy industry to work with 40 contracts with players and the clubs and holidays coming in now. But we're getting there now to the level of creating something truly unique and magnificent. And as I said, it really does fit the context of what the greatest show in gaming is. It has another element, not to be said. Legends Charity Game is a standalone event. It's nothing to do with gambling. It's a sports media driven charity event, but obviously it's very synergized and connected with our gaming event as well, of course. And it's out of this world what we're doing here. And for me personally, I mean, I said, creating a legacy and something big in the space where you are passionate in terms of leaning itself also lending itself closer to the gaming industry is incredible. Like, I don't even know yet how this happened, right? I don't understand really. I'm just like, wow, let's just make it big now, you know. I do need the industry, and I'll start pushing. I do need the industry to start coming in and supporting the charities and donations. So I'm going to start, you know, pushing hard on that. As I said, I'm quite relentless, so I don't think there's going to be very few that won't get a push from me to start making some donations and to support the amazing charities. Sorry, that was a long. Probably talked about other things, but yeah.
So, what does it take to organize such an event that brings together such icons? And I'm interested. Maybe would you replicate that to Brazil as well? Have a similar type of game, a match there?
Yeah, I mean, it has to resonate, Sultan, right? It has to. Here, the narrative is definitely also the World Cup is happening in Portugal in 4 years, and you don't want to oversaturate it. You got to make sure that there's an interest and it makes sense, because these are legends. They aren't players anymore, but they were the big players of the games for many years. So they are interesting to watch, and there's a huge love for them. But it's not going to have the same, I think, reach and interest if you multiply too much. So you got to be smart on that. I think you can do more of it, definitely. And the plan is we want to do one every year for the next 4 years. It's going to be in Lisbon. It's every year. It's a build-up story into the World Cup now. Nice. So this is year 1. Year 2 is going to be different, but similar. Different names, and obviously we have more experience from organizing it in year 1. But it takes a lot of work. We hired in external people like Shona, Thomas, Russell, some very experienced people in this level. I am dedicating a hell of a lot of time for this because I think SBC Summit is run by my amazing team here in SBC. They have a lot of experience from last year. They are executing top level. I'm obviously keeping an eye on all of it, but they're doing so well with this that I can put a little bit more time on making sure that the Legends charity event is going to go down exceptionally well, because we got some good support now, and it's obviously quite an expensive event to organize. And I need to utilize hopefully all the goodwill we have in the industry now to see some support. I will say SBC, besides spending lots of money to put this together, time-wise, money-wise, we also donated 50,000 euros. Ruby Play made a donation of 20,000 euros. That was to kick things off. And now we need other companies to start making their donations and support, you know?
Hope they hear this and they will start sending those checks. So
you and me, man. We got to push them now.
So what message are you hoping to send to the global business community by tying this game together with SBC Summit in Lisbon? Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm not trying to send a specific message. I won't say indirectly. I hope people, when they look at all the events in gaming, I like to see Lisbon, SBC Summit in Lisbon, getting the appreciation for being, I will say, the best event, the greatest show in gaming. There's nothing at stake here. There's nothing to win or whatever, but I just like them to hopefully see that, think that, and want to be there, want to keep that event in the schedule as the key event to attend. Obviously, we know ICE has always been like that in terms of years, and our event is less years on the back. But I like to get that event just as something people have to attend, because we'll keep investing into it. We'll keep creating amazing things like the Legends Charity Game to make it even more meaningful and purposeful for people to be there. More experiences next to obviously the core element, which is still generating good business for themselves and their companies. And that is literally going to be like this if people are willing to accept this journey with us and support the event and look at it as something worth supporting. Maybe it's wrong to say the best event. I don't know. There's no competition here, but I guess we all like to be,
of course,
seen as the best. But I think the greatest show in gaming speaks for itself. Let's keep it this. I like this tagline that was really the defining factor last year, and I think I just want people to understand there's meaning and purpose behind that. Legends Charity Game is part of that, right? It sits as part of the greatest show in gaming.
All right. So beyond, of course, raising funds, what kind of emotional or maybe social impact are you aiming for with this match? Because you're supporting causes like the Ukrainian Red Cross and the Caritas Portuguesa. So why were these particular causes chosen, and what are you looking to achieve?
We decided to go with 4 charities in total. It's not, maybe it could have been 1. It's not easy to find the right mix. The reason we have 4 charities, we got Red Cross in Ukraine, Red Cross in Portugal, Caritas Portugal, and International Alert. So 2 charities for Portugal, which are international, but they're just more connected with Lisbon, because a lot of people from Lisbon will want to attend the event, right? So we like them to feel more aligned with the charities to support and do the donations, right? Which the local feels it obviously helps. Red Cross Portugal, we know Red Cross, no explanation needed there, I think, but International Alert is amazing, supporting families and people impacted by various different difficult situations around the world, whether it's in Europe, Africa, all around the world, they're doing amazing work. Red Cross in Ukraine, they obviously focused on support in Ukraine. And we have Caritas, which is similar with refugees and people suffering from various happenings around the world, conflict, war, etc. Sorry, maybe I should just say the actual reason overall for the 4 charities is communities and families that have been impacted by conflict and war. Right?
All right.
So, communities and families impacted by conflict and war. So all the 4 charities is essentially there to assist with families that are in parts of the world where it really isn't easy to be, and it's just being able to try and help there with these charities is key, because any war affected, conflict affected area in the world isn't just a few. There's far too many.
It's
right?
crazy times we're living now. Yeah.
It is. And I mean, whether it's just a million isn't much even in this context, but at least we can try and do, and hopefully we can raise more. But I like to think this is the start of raising more for these guys every year, right? And maybe there's a trend for our industry to continue working on this year round, which would also like to happen. But I think it's quite a noble cause to support this, in the respect of, I mean, it's very easy for us to forget, the world is pretty fucked up sometimes, sorry my language.
It is.
And we need to help any way we can. I don't think we've done a lot of great big initiatives in our industry. So I think this initiative here speaks to our life, our growing up, sports passion connected in with the charities to combine the two, and hopefully get people to understand that, great to have amazing stuff here, but here's reality. Now, let's not just see it as this, but reality reminds you of people don't have access to this. We need to help.
All right, so it's basically responsibility, because my next question would be about, in your view, what does responsibility, so what responsibility does the sports and gaming industry have to give back? Of course, besides fundraising, they should be focusing on other things, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we see a lot more focus on things like player protection, responsible gambling, and all these areas.
Yeah.
Even though I would say that we do focus a lot on that in Lisbon, and I'm sometimes a little bit amazed by how people talk the talk, but there's no action behind it.
Yeah. You took the word out my mouth. Yeah, so, that's the bad thing of it.
Yeah, it's easy to PR stuff and talk about it, but then when you hold up to the responsibility of being accountable, often it falls down, right? So there's a lot more we can do. But, whether donations here are seen as a way of PRing things or just for the sake of feeling good, okay, fine, whatever. Then it doesn't matter, just support. We will make good use of that money, and it's all good. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Just we want to take this and use it as support and grow this into something more purposeful, more meaningful going forward. And we need the support. We obviously like to think that the industry comes to this on the fact that they understand that to have a world that is sustainable and a place to be in the future, we need to help, we need to support, and we need to do as much as we can. And I think the charities we work with and the way we position it to be in support of communities and families impacted by war and conflict, it's got a strong purpose. And yeah, I definitely hope that the industry is going to come up and start helping with support.
So you mentioned that you guys now employ over 150 people across the multiple companies. So how do you integrate purpose-driven initiatives like this one into a high-performance business culture? And I'm also interested about what have you learned about leadership at this scale? Because, of course, you were the best sergeant, but yeah, now it's a different thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're 150 people, you've grown as a company. You got people around the world because obviously events are executed around the world, and not everyone has to be in the same office, right? So working in Brazil means Portuguese, right? And other parts of the world with Latin America, Spanish. So you got to have a lot of local people and connect. So I think I'm still quite driven in terms of being creative and creating projects and things to do. So I think for SPC in many cases still benefits a lot. I don't pat myself on the shoulder, but I still get very involved in decision making and projects that we drive. And we aren't doing that many new projects per se because we are sitting with
a lot of brands.
Yeah, with a lot of brands with the same events, but the same events, same media. We work with them for a long time. There's media, there's a lot of brands. You need to manage that. But going beyond that, there isn't much new things happening. It's more stabilizing these, aligning them, making sure there's a future for them. New things like moving into India is obviously something. Other things like the Legends charity game is something. But as I said, if there's some synergies, it's a bit easier to do. And I think I created a good setup for this. So I'm not exhausting people that are working on existing projects in SPC with the Legends because we brought external people in. We had a great framework we applied to it. It's not that easy to work with, absolutely not. But I also work a lot and I take a lot of responsibilities in the things that I know if I start something, I also need to step up and take my share. And I think with the people doing this here, we managed to really do so much good with SPC Summit that we have more time to dedicate to this for some reason. And I think that made it work. So you got to be careful because you can't just throw new stuff at people in the company and ask them to deliver. It's still my business. I have to understand that not everyone sees things the same way as me. But I think so far we're managing things pretty well. But Maybe we should have this conversation
Yeah.
soon again and see where we are and see how things are changing. But so far, it's okay. I'm very hands-on, Sultan. So I'm trying to not push too much responsibility on other people in terms of, everyone has key responsibilities, of course, but I'm also trying not to make actual
makes sense.
very hardcore decisions set on people without at least talking to them, right?
All right. So
it's always easy to come back and say, why didn't we do this? Why don't let's try and talk about it earlier as people, right? If you can.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you maintain innovation and passion across these different bands? Because besides SBC, you also have Esports Insider. You still have Odds Life, right?
I'm not doing too much with these, to be honest, anymore. So main focus is on SBC events, to be honest. This is just sitting there, to be honest, with probably I think it's updated on the Pro. I'm not sure. I need to check, but it's mainly SBC events in this. We still have but there's
but Esports Insider is doing really well in the esports section.
Yeah, but it's not. Sorry, my language again. I was about to say. We're not doing too much with it, so
All
it's.
right.
I wouldn't. There's not too much to go into detail.
All right. So let's look back in the past 20 years now almost. So are there any decisions you're particularly proud of, or if you have maybe you are wishing that you have done differently?
That's a good question. Not that I can say. Because much of the things you do lead to a certain thing, right? If I'm looking at where the company is now, I don't think there's a lot of things that could have made it do more to get in a better position. Meaning that if I look back at decisions, I wouldn't say things happen for a reason, but often one thing leads to another, right? I wouldn't say so in terms of doing things differently. I think it's probably decisions again, and now you go back to COVID is the typical one, right? I'm very happy with how quickly we made decisions, and we created something very unique in terms of a huge digital event. Those things we did just by not thinking, just doing on the back of our experience and belief. And also keeping the people in instead of thinking about money versus people. I think always thinking about people has been core for us. So I'm probably proud of those decisions. I wouldn't do that differently. So it's hard to, there's nothing that stands out, man, I would say. I think we're pretty content with what we've been doing.
All right, so now here come the hard questions, because usually we leave these to the end of the podcast. So let's talk about advice that you can give to founders about, let's say, smaller conference operators or media startups. What's your advice on scaling without compromising your mission? So this would be something that you would give to let's say a new competitor of yours that just starts growing somewhere.
I would say unless you have patience and commitment, don't do it. It's going to take years, and you also got to understand a little bit better what you want to do. Are you happy with a 5-man, 10-man, 20-man company, or do you want to do more? I think the more you want to do, the more planning you should do from the beginning. I learned over the years that planning should be at the forefront, but also it doesn't have to be there, right? I didn't plan much for some of the stuff I've been doing in the past, but the way I'm running things now is hardcore planning and project management. That's changed a lot. But I wasn't that patient in the past when I did things. So I just had a lot of belief in what I was doing, but it probably also wasted a lot of money and time by not doing it in a smarter way from the beginning. So if you are starting out in media and events, I think events are more scalable. Obviously, they can make you more money faster, but also they require a lot more resource and work, coordination. More things can go wrong. So you need to have a good plan to map that out and start small, and then you build from there. You got to have patience. It starts with building a reputation. It's like any other product. Build it, deliver it, and execute in a, I was not perfection is that's use the word, in a good or in a great way, and you'll retain people. People will come back. That's how you grow. Don't second guess and don't question the quality of year one, and don't have too many expectations. Deliver on that, and you start seeing how things can grow. And well, you do more events. On the media side, I mean, you know as well as me, it's about keep being consistent on quality, and you will take money from sponsors and advertisers and all that, but you got to try and retain the integrity. You also got to be smarter these days at digital marketing and find ways of growing your brand and your content and your readership across social media. And that means you got to invest, because I don't think anyone is perfect at doing SEO and digital marketing and writing content. That's impossible. So you're looking already there at a 3-4-man team very quickly, just to run one media website. But also having that team makes it easier to scale maybe to the next website. So you think in that plan, what is the foundation of people I need with one website to grow it to 4 or 5 websites, right? So there you also need a plan. So I would sit back, take the time, define the plans, whether it's media and events or both, and just really spend those 1, 2, 3 months. Just do that. Talk to people. Don't rush into it. Those 1 or 2 months you think you save now because you're desperate to get going, it's going to be half a year or a year of painful work later on. And I'm always happy to speak to people. I guess I'm very busy these days with a lot of things. And I always said to myself, I'm never going to be too busy to speak to anyone. And I do often,
here you are,
in most cases, speak to everyone. But it's getting more tough because I have many people across different relationships. And it's getting harder to answer everyone because I don't want to work to 3, 4 in the morning anymore. I used to do that. I got family. I got 2 lovely girls at 9 and 12, and I gotta have time for that as well. And as much as I look at my life and focus as bringing it from startup to what we discuss here to a more fully blown business, it's also about finding the balance. And I do enjoy work. Work is life for me. There's no question about it. I don't separate the two. And it's very difficult to explain to people that you can enjoy your work. Yes. And it's actually stressing you out when you're not working, right? Not many people understand that. But that's me. And I got to accept that. And it's very difficult to have conversations. So also when you start something, you got to understand what you're turning yourself into, because your friends is in the industry, and you can argue, are they real friends? Are they best friends? But what is the concept of that? Who told you how things have to be? I'm just fed up with that sometimes. And I'm filtering that out these days, because you look for appreciation sometimes. You look for people telling you you're doing a good job. But the next thing you know, you're being told that, oh, why are you working so much? Oh, why are you not doing this? And like, in what context? Who tells you that? And instead of going into a long argument, it's just better to filter that out sometimes.
I know. So now I'm going to throw a curveball at
Sultan, just between you and me, I appreciate you, man.
All right, that's good to know. It's good to know. Likewise. Yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned, it's so hard, like to explain to people that you love to work, because people do like clock out at 4 or 5 o'clock and that's it, forget about it. But yeah, like you said, you get stressed when you're not working. So
even a holiday can stress you, right? And you got to cut off on holidays, because then you have things done before you try and anyway. I like work. I really do.
It's so interesting when we wrap up on conference and some random people just come to me and tell me that, okay, so now you're going to take a 30 days holiday, right? So yeah, of course. I'm back on Monday in the office working on the next conference because I love what I do. That's my holiday. So what's one piece of advice you would like to give yourself, the Ras in 2009, knowing everything you do now?
Probably the advice is what we talked about. Don't rush into anything. Just take your time and understand what it is you want to do, and then sit down, think about it, talk to people, and get more clarity on exactly what it is you want to do. Don't don't compromise the initial thinking, brainstorming, planning. I've been rushing into things far too quick. But on the other hand, Sultan, then maybe if I hadn't rushed into things would look different.
You learn from
right?
it. Yeah.
So you learn from it, and in many cases, maybe it was a good thing that I rushed into it. Who knows? It did take maybe years more, but also might have been something different I was doing today. I don't know, but I would probably say don't rush. Take your time. Take your time. Think about what you want to do in business. Think about each project you should be careful and considerate on before you just do it. Those are things I think probably is the best advice.
All right. So what do you think about legacy? Because I think I know you, and 50 years from now, people will be living on Mars, and you will be still doing the same stuff you love. So that's good.
It's a great question. Yeah, legacy. Yeah. I mean, you know what someone told me. I was at a Chelsea game once we were at, and someone was talking a bit about a few things. But there's what is it you want to be remembered for, right? And it's also what we talked about. How do you spend your time, family now, live in the now, ground yourself? There's so many things. I honestly don't know. I think if I'll be brutally honest, sometimes I feel one thing that is tough in terms of dedicating a lot of time to build businesses is when you're on the top, appreciation almost doesn't exist, right? Whether it's work-wise, it's family-wise, people just take it for granted that you feel appreciated, and you don't, because you don't always know the decisions you make or what you're trying to achieve. You make it under certain maybe stressful conditions or whatever. Like it makes you question, what is the legacy? Because if this is how things work, what's the point? I mean, it's great to obviously try and make money and have more money to spend and build business. And you look at profits and generating good EBITDA. Is that the legacy? Well, it might be here now, but it's not going to work years from now. Maybe it will help your children grow up and have access to money, but if you grow them up in the right way, they probably wouldn't care too much about money, right? So their mindset shouldn't be focused on money. So that is also not really what should be on the forefront of your mind. If you want to be remembered from what you build and what you're doing, then again, it isn't about the money per se, because people remember you for building money, right? And that can easily disappear. It's about creating something that people remember for the sake of being something that happened, you created, whatever, right? Maybe part of the greatest show in gaming, the legacy we're building, is that scalable? Is that something we can take other places? Could we create something unique? I think we've done it well for our industry, and right now I'm content that I'm happy with that in terms of our industry, in terms of my legacy. But obviously, I think the Legends charity game could go above and beyond that to a certain extent by extending on that. But on the other hand, what is it I want? I don't know. To be honest, right now, I think I want to build more time as well for trying to get more of my people starting to be taking over more responsibilities and acting more on the events and the media we have. And I find more time to think about different areas and not being forced to do them, more like having choices. And also I can make choices between family in terms of more time spent. I do spend a lot of time with family, but not feeling that I'm more scheduled and programmed. I like to have time to think and make my own decisions.
All right.
So yeah, listen, legacy is such a good question, but I like to think that people will look at what I built and think, yeah, that's great. But I don't have any need urge for being remembered for something specific now.
We'll come back to this question in a couple of years then. I'll take a note of this to like ask you in 2 or 3 years from now. And yeah, now we come to the ending part. We started this tradition a couple of episodes ago. Actually, Martin Lichka was the first one to do it. So even if you don't know our next guest personally, or you may know them because we will not reveal them to you, what is your message or question you would like to leave them to spark their thinking? I will play back the message from the earlier guest. Let me just see how to do this because I'm using a new platform now. All right, here we go. Good. So you're seeing the screen, right?
Something like, I think the reputation is everything, especially in iGaming. So integrity is a very, very important value.
Message a question. So let's put a question out. Have you really thought about the planning and work that is required for your next big project? How do you word it? But something like, have you really taken enough time to understand your next project in the way of success being more likely? Something like that. I don't know if they have a project, but just alluding back to what we talked about. Okay.
Yeah, I know the next guest, so yeah, they do. So, Ras, it was nice to have you here. Thank you so much. It has been 1 hour and 20 minutes. This is a great long podcast, and I really the most listened podcast episodes are these ones, like over 1 hour, and I'm sure that people will appreciate. So, any parting words, any shout outs you would like to give? Now's the time.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I've not done too many of these, so it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Sultan, and obviously appreciate the work you guys are doing. I think you've done amazing to grow your business as well. And I just think, Lisbon in September, I hope we will have booked and prepared for this. We will deliver the greatest show in gaming, and the Legends charity game that you so kindly spoke to me about. I like to encourage people to go to the website, legendscharitygame.com, and make a donation and support the event, because it is a huge event that does require support from people, especially in the industry. So I would definitely appreciate that. And anyone have any questions, even any startups and others that are looking into the space want some advice, I will do my best to answer your questions. You can get in touch via LinkedIn or any other way. If you have my email, or get in touch, and I'll see what I can do to help.
All right. So even if you're not from the iGaming industry, you can support that charity. So just like go to the website and check it out, and you can of course attend the event. This is not an exclusive club, guys. This is a worldwide thing. It's a global thing. So yeah, once again, thank you for our audience for joining us, and Ras, thank you so much for your time. Take good care, everyone. We will be back next week with more crazy stuff. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Sultan.
And that's a wrap for this section of Hipther Talks. Thank you for being a part of our journey today. Don't forget to tune in next week for more insights and discussions. Stay connected with us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until then, keep exploring and keep growing. We'll see you next time.